Back again for another Facebook Live. Interesting today. So, as usual, we've got Gordon with us, but today we're joined by Woo, who is in our AI division. Correct?
Yes, correct.
When did you join us, Woo?
Last July.
Last July.
Yeah.
And what was the brief when you first saw it, where you thought, "What is this?" Tell us all. Tell us all. What's your background in AI, by the way?
So, my background is AI in cardiac, so hearts basically.
Hearts.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's not too far from dental, so it's still the medical field.
It's the same body, yeah, but different thing. But
Yeah.
go on. This is fascinating.
Yeah. So I used to work for this company in Oxford that basically provided software for automating analysis of echocardiographs.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. And worked for 3 or 4 years there. And my PhD was kind of similar thing in hearts. And then I came to 21D, where everything's about dental.
Yeah, but what possessed you to read that job spec that we put out and went, okay, what was it?
It was you, to be honest.
It was me.
Yeah,
Actually,
were
okay.
quite. It was the first time I met someone who was the head of a company but still cared that much about the patients and what it really matters. And well,
I'm a healthcare professional.
I know, but I've met a lot of CEOs that don't really care about this
right,
stuff. So.
Okay, it's odd.
Yeah,
I hear this a lot. It's very weird for me. I don't get out much. That's the problem. So then you joined us last July.
Yeah.
And I spoke to you about geometries and complex, and no two people are the same, and we have to run algorithms, and we have to calculate every single person on an individual basis.
Yeah.
Tell me what you thought on week 1.
Well, it was difficult for me. There was a lot of clinical information that I had to get used to.
Yeah. New language.
New terminology.
Yeah.
But as the weeks went by, I realized that it's actually, if you think about this stuff, it's actually quite simple.
Yes. But it requires that mindset of, here is a serious problem that affects hundreds of millions of people. Mm-hmm. And we need to find a solution that does 2 things. Number 1, it has a calculative approach, not an opinion approach, okay? Because there's way too much of that in medicine. I know that that's all we had in the past, but when you have calculative approach today, why are you depending on opinions? That's number 1. And number 2, it greatly improves efficiency. So instead of clinicians trying to think up answers to very complex problems, they get served the answers to very complex problems. And now I as a clinician, I don't feel like my ego's been battered. I'm bloody grateful, because when I had to think about these things, it would take me days and weeks, and my head would hurt. And now I have something that literally just goes, here you go. Yeah. And even if it gets me 90% of the way there, and I just have to work out the last 10%, I've just saved weeks. Yeah. Which means I can be clearer with my patient about what is the optimal balance of compromises. Yeah. I can be clearer about, well, this is your individual anatomy. This is what I can work with. This is what's possible with what you have. And I can show it to them in a visual form. Yeah. So then let's roll on. You had other team members join you, didn't you?
Yes, I did, yeah. It was difficult working on my own, so I had to...
How many have we got now?
I think we've got 4 people.
We've got 4 people. Yeah. None of them had ever worked?
No, none of them.
None of them at all?
Cell biologists and other fields, basically.
Okay, but I actually like that, because I like the approach of a fresh pair of eyes. Yeah. Because even me, sometimes I'm blinkered. Yeah. I can't see beyond my own tunnel. Yeah. And I just need somebody to come in and see the things that I can't see. Yeah. So that they can give us
fresh perspective.
New perspective. Yeah. And new perspective, for me, is what opens up new possibilities. Yeah. Without the new perspective, no new possibilities. We just continue doing the same stuff we were doing before. And how does it, for you, now we're 7 months in to this, what are you seeing as the possibilities in what we do, which is full mouth rehab?
I think the possibilities are are massive. Just from the efficiency point of view. Just because I've talked to the actual clinicians who have to manually do these steps, right? It's very tedious jobs that we can automate really quickly.
Yeah.
So something that'll take an hour to 2 hours, we can do in 5 minutes. So in the time that we save for them, they can spend doing other difficult cases or just, do more patients basically. Yeah.
For me, how I viewed this is always the same. There's two parts to my job. The first part is analytical.
Yeah.
And the other part is emotional, where I have to manage this human being and get them to understand the what, the where, the why, the when, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a real human connection thing, you know. But because I end up spending so much time on the analytical, I almost rush the bit that's really important in this, the human side. Look, we both know you have a problem. That's what's on the screen. We're not going to hurt you, but we do need to go through some uncomfortable things to get to where you need to be. And just focus on that more and almost leave the analytics side to something that could do a much better job than I ever could on calculating. Now, before you run a calculation, how many calculations does it run per case? Just to give us an idea.
So our pipeline, for the first stage of our pipeline, which is basically alignment of the different scars.
So CBCT, intraoral scan, face scan that we take a full clinical assessment. We need to align all those things correctly, because if we don't, it just magnifies all the problems moving forward. So tell us about that.
So stage one of the alignment process.
Yes.
The way we align the CBCT with the intraoral scans is we take matches between tooths from both modalities, and we take for each tooth around 2,000 to 5,000 points.
2,000 to 5,000 per tooth?
Per tooth, yes, per tooth,
Okay. That's a square centimetre.
Yeah.
Per square centimetre, 2,000 to 5,000 points. Keep talking.
Yeah. So because it's able to do this so quickly and so efficiently, we're able to take a large number of points between the two scans. And so the alignment, most of the times, a lot better and faster than how they do it manually, essentially.
Well, there's a hell of a lot of manual in this. We've done it because we had no choice. We definitely didn't have people like you about. We didn't have this technology about. And I just like the idea of using millions of data points, not tens of data points. Because as a bioengineer, precision is everything for me. So I can't have too many. I can only have too few. So what are you going to show us now? So
what I'm going to show now is basically the alignment piece.
The alignment.
Yes. And it runs the alignment for the CBCT, face scan, and the intraoral scan all in one go.
All in one go. The importance of this, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead
sure.
And run it. So there it is. Off it's going to go in the background. So it's going to keep doing its job. The importance of this bit, for me, is like this. When we see you at clinical assessment, we have now got 3D imaging of you at bone and tooth level. Then we've got tooth and gum level from the intraoral scan. And then we've got at face level from your face scan. It is really important to align all of these because we're putting a smile on your face. What we're not doing is just a tooth or teeth to fill a gap. From this information, if the alignment is incorrect, then when it moves to the next stage, which is positioning of the new teeth and the implants, if this is inaccurate, this will be inaccurate. If the positioning of the teeth and the implants is inaccurate, then when it moves on from there, it's the manufacturing, the guides themselves, the prosthetics, they'll be inaccurate, which means at delivery, we've got huge inaccuracies. Now, this is why pretty much everywhere else, they sort of think about temporization after they do surgery, whereas we can temporize immediately at surgery. The importance of temporizing at surgery, main one, is to cover the surgical wound because we need to get through the surgical phase. That's what sign-off is. Sign off that the surgical phase is finished, and now we can just focus on bone remodeling and all that kind of stuff that's going to take time, but the patient can pretty much get back to normality. And for me, everything starts from good data set and good alignment at the beginning. So that's what this AI does. And currently, we're talking millions and millions of points
Yes.
of alignment.
Essentially, yeah.
And it's just running pretty much 24/7,
Yeah.
trying to align these things. So when we get your data sets from the FCA, we upload them to the cloud. Our AI then just picks it up, starts doing its magic, and then it will put it to the next stage, which is actually deciding where the new teeth need to be based on your own skull, what will and will not fit inside your mouth, and then reverse engineer from the position of the teeth where the implants are going to be, and also look at the bone itself and go, where is all the disease we need to remove before we put these implants in? So all these calculations are done. When I started, I could only really start working this out after I'd opened the gum up. Today, I can have all of this worked out weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before the patient even sits in the chair. That is a major advantage for clinical efficiency. Not only does it lead for more efficient surgery for the patient, but it's also a lot less stressful for the delivering clinician, and it's really important that it's a lot less stressful for the delivering clinician. They're human too. They don't want to spend any more time than is necessary inside your mouth. You might think, oh, what's he doing, messing with? No, trust me. Everything they don't want to be in there for a second longer. And it's stuff like this that really helps them and drives the inefficiency and moves them forward. This bit is a very, very, very important part of the actual process itself. And the introduction of AI into 21D is the ability to help even more people, if for no other reason than to get aligned data sets and in real time. I don't know how close we are to that, months probably.
In real time alignment.
Not just real time alignment, but also real time wax up
Yeah.
and implant positioning. So if a patient comes for FCA,
Yeah.
hopefully no more interplanning.
Yeah.
We just be able to tell you then and there, with the AI running in the background, within a period of like 10 minutes, go, this is what's possible, this is what we can do,
Yeah.
this is how it can be achieved.
Yeah.
Which right now, some of you who've been through the process, you'll know, you'll go into planning. We put you into planning because the chairside clinician cannot run that many calculations of predictability in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I don't expect anybody else to either. But this way, both the patient and the clinician, straight after the data sets are fed to the AI, will get immediate answers.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Once we have those immediate answers and everybody's all on the same page and agreed, so we know where we're going to end up before we start, then the patient's got a simple choice. Yes, no. But then they get it, hopefully, at the FCA. A couple of months before we deploy this.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we're working on is we're building our own standalone AI engines for the clinics themselves. So everything's done locally. So the AI should be able to take your data sets immediately and in real time go, yes, this is good enough to work on, or no, take another one, then and there. So hopefully it'll help needing to bring patients back in. But again, it's all a work in progress. Is anyone else in the world doing this from what you've seen?
No one else. Just
Why
us.
not?
I think we're in a unique position at 21D that we have all sources of data in one place. I think that's the key thing here. No one else has this, just that I know of.
No, they don't exist. I know. That's why I dragged you lot in here. Because I know
Yeah.
we have all the data sets that are needed to be able to do this. Because A, it's all we do.
Yeah.
And B, our data sets are huge.
They are. Yeah.
And C, it's a training model.
Yeah.
So it just keeps learning.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I
Getting
love.
better and better.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about
Exactly.
artificial intelligence. It just keeps getting better and better. So over time, it's a bit like you've read about in radiology. I mean, my late dad was a radiologist. And today, AI is providing better diagnostics than radiologists. Actually, he would have embraced it because he would have been able to be more efficient with this. So instead of going through, I don't know, 100 films a day, he could have gone through 500 films a day. And because the AI is assisting him, there are no bottlenecks in diagnostics or planning. And if there are no bottlenecks in diagnostics or planning, then the actual surgical revision itself is so predictable, and everybody knows months in advance, weeks in advance. And the theory is, as we drive more of these inefficiencies in, we should shorten bottlenecks. Now, obviously, we need to move to the next bit, which is actually manufacturing all these things, but I've got an idea in mind about that. So we're thinking about full robotic manufacturer anyway, but, you know, that's another crazy conversation I have to have with some other crazy people somewhere else. I just need to deal with these crazy people for now. They're not crazy. I like talking to them. They speak my language of mathematics, which I really like. So this is your model, right?
Yeah.
So in your model, as you can see very quickly, we've aligned all the data. And from a clinical standpoint, we're working on the user interface. We're going to make it look a lot prettier.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Right, okay. So these guys don't care about the user interface. You understand? They don't care that it looks like an extra from, what is that? The Living Dead. They don't care about that, but I care about that. My patients care about that. Yeah. But from a diagnostic point of view, to be able to, in real time, while the patient is there, take all these scans and go, right, okay, it looks like you're going to have 4 implants at the top. These are the positions. Looks like you're going to have 4 implants at the bottom. The yellow is the teeth you've got. The green is the teeth you're going to have. Can we zoom that?
Yeah.
And how comfortable are you
Yeah.
that these positions are pretty accurate?
I'm very confident, just because of the sheer amount of points that are here. So if you think about manual alignment being a general alignment with a few points, what we do is we take every crevice, every nook and cranny, every little detail and align it using that. So it's a lot more accurate.
For me, the coolest thing of all is immediate visualization.
Yeah.
Just the very fact that a person who's nervous or scared, which I understand pretty much everybody is, whether they want to admit it or not, just to give them the visualization and to say, do you know what? There's your answer right there. So it tells us. And these, the implant positions, are accurate to what?
2.3 millimeters.
0.2, 0.3, so 200 to 300 microns accurate.
No, 2 millimeters as a whole.
200 microns.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So
this is trained on all of our previous patient data and
right.
Basically
so it's purely though mathematical learning.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is. It's just running the mathematics of things. So it's looking in the X-ray.
Yeah.
For example, all the available bone qualities, all the available bone densities.
Yeah.
Where is the best position to put these things? How should they go in angulations, trajectories?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's what's. I mean, I used to dream about this stuff 27 years ago. Now I'm staring at it on a screen. 2 things. I'm old. That's definite. And number 2, how convenient that I no longer operate and it's here.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, fellas. Really appreciate it. But for the future patients and for the future clinicians, how cool is that?
Very cool. Yeah. The fact that they're able to see.
Come on. Even you've got to look at that and go, oh, that is some cool shit.
Amazing.
So that's just this is the tip of the iceberg of what we're doing in here with AI. We do things in this company because I'm always thinking about that benefit to my patient. What, even if it's a little bit, what additional thing can I drive in that will help people feel less anxious? People are afraid of the unknown, but the minute it's known, then you can be afraid of the known, but at least you can see it. Mm-hmm. At least you can see it and go, okay, I know now. This is where everything needs to go, and this is me. And that's the key thing here. If this was only a tool, the number of times I've heard in my career a patient will say, I've been told I have no bone. I've been told I can't have implants. I've been told I need a bone graft. Not according to that. This is like taking that X-ray, taking that 3D image, taking it to a level where you can design on it and do a virtual surgery on it and going, well, actually, you can have a solution and it does work. And it doesn't need bone grafting, and you have got enough bone. Just if those questions, if all this does is just make those questions go away, I'm delighted. Mm-hmm. Was it worth it, Woo?
Yes, definitely.
Was it worth putting up with me for 7 months, screaming at the top of my voice, going, where the hell's my bloody AI?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, but you now see this as the tip of the iceberg, correct?
Definitely. Yeah.
What's the possibilities you see from here?
I mean, there's loads of, this is just the first version, right? There's loads of improvements that we can add, not only in terms of making more accurate, but faster as well. We can also, there's a plethora of different projects that we're interested in terms of actually, how do we visualize this best, for instance? How do we make this so that it's more appealing for patients, etc.
We did something really cool. You remember our Texan friends who came over?
Yeah.
Those guys who came over
from
Texas.
Yeah.
They sent you a case, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Yeah. So they were having a bit of issue over in Texas for a patient in Texas. And I said, why don't you just send Woo the data? Let's see what our AI can do. Mm-hmm. What have they got back?
Well, in under 5 minutes, we just aligned everything. And
then just send, there you go.
Yeah.
They couldn't, they were scratching their heads going, how the hell do we solve this? How the hell do we solve this? And I said, send it to Woo.
Yeah.
I watched it today on my phone on WhatsApp. And Woo just goes, here you go. Solved.
Yeah.
The great thing for me is there is a human being in Texas whose anxiety has just vanished. Yeah. I'm not talking about the clinician here. I'm talking about the patient.
Yeah.
There's somebody in Texas riding a horse screaming Yahoo right now. Right? Because yippee. Because it's been solved. It's done.
Actually, yeah.
I don't even know who this person is. I just know that there's a happier person in Texas because we ran this calculation. Otherwise, it would have been me having an opinion, Paul having an opinion, this person having an opinion, that person having an opinion. Yeah, but whose opinion's right?
Yeah. When they send us an email, they got an instant reply after 5 seconds with the solution there.
Yeah. There it is.
Wow.
There it is. Mm-hmm. Boom.
Already.
Just give us your data set. Here's the answer. Yeah, but that's, to me, that is like, that's why AI is an integral part of the future of 21D. I don't, some of my staff, they're funny. They go, am I going to lose my job?
Yeah.
No. You're just going to become a hell of a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually, in my view, you can't eliminate human beings from healthcare because AI can't do the caring.
Yeah.
Only humans can do the caring.
Yeah.
Right? So I say, you know what? Why don't you do all the caring and let the AI do all the calculations?
Yeah.
That way you've got much more time to care and much less time worrying about that because that thing's just going to spit it out for fun.
Yeah.
In terms of what you've seen from the heart sector, right?
Yeah.
You can speak freely.
Yeah.
We're amongst friends.
Sure.
How groundbreaking is this, Woo?
So I've done a lot of journal reading and conference reading for all this kind of stuff that we're trying to develop, and there's nothing out there. So I'm pretty sure this is pretty groundbreaking, yeah.
You know why that upsets me? There are some huge multinational companies involved in this, peddling screws, right?
Yeah.
So-called implants made by Chanel or whatever it is, right? It's just nonsense. It's just a joke. Honestly.
YSL.
Yeah, YSL. Which implant do you use? Medical grade. That's what I use.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, why didn't they spend the billions that they've made off profits in this? And us oiks here, we just sat together, had a bit of an idea, and we did it the hard way.
Yeah.
For me, if you're going to sell screws, the end user is always the patient.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you help them to visualize where your screws are actually going to go.
Yeah.
And let them at least have that and go, here you go. It's these screws, but they're going in these positions right here.
Absolutely.
And the mechanics, I'll tell you where I want to go with this. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's another one of my, I want the patient to have this on their phone, on my app.
Yeah.
And I want them to go home and I want them to touch any part of this that they like. And the AI will just explain it to them. It will explain anything you want to know, day and night. And the beauty of it is, it's totally interactive. Why does my tooth have to be here? Well, the reason it has to be here is because of these mechanics, of these muscles, this bone, and these forces. If we move it over here, your risk of fracture increases by 27%. If we move it over there, it will interfere with your tongue and muscle adaptation will take a hell of a lot longer. This kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I really like the idea that my patients interact with themselves on a model and question the possibilities.
Yeah.
And understand that there is this sweet spot, optimal balance of compromises. But instead of taking my word for it, or any of the clinicians' word for it, ask the AI.
Yeah.
Just touch the screen. Have the conversation. It'll spit out the answers.
Yeah.
No problem at all. If we keep going down this road, how many diagnostic markers do you think we can get the AI to detect from the data we are getting?
I mean, it's hard to say, but I mean, we are getting loads up now anyway, so I can't imagine a scenario where we wouldn't increase that number,
One of the areas I'm looking at the moment is the biomaterials side.
Yeah.
And biomaterials are always evolving. They're always getting better. So I'll give you an example. Even the PMMA that I was using 12 months ago has been improved. Now, it's like by 6%, but it's still 6% better. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with what was there before. This one's 6% better. All of these should be able to be engineered into this model. So I want to even be able to run load mechanics on measuring how people chew. There's a device that I saw recently that actually measures a human being's bite force. And we can plug that into a simulation. And we can go, okay, this is your bite force and maximum bite. Okay, let's see how long everything will hold up for. So the question that I keep being asked, how long is it gonna last?
Right.
Well, me using my brain, I don't know. I can roughly guess. Me using the AI and that bite force measurer, don't have to guess. It will give you a very tight range and go between year 9, Christmas, and year 10, Easter. You probably, don't worry, I'll put an alert on your phone to remind you every month for 12 months before that. I love all this stuff because for me, it's about these medical devices are inside patients. They should have an interactive pathway with their own devices. There should be a smart approach to this. So everybody's got a smart watch. Why can't you have a smart mouth? Why not? And is that the general direction that we are moving in?
Definitely, yeah.
Is it inevitable? If we don't do it, someone else is going to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it mainly to help patients visualize what they can't visualize. That's the key to me. Without that visualization, without that understanding that this is corrective surgery, there is an orthopedic element where we're working inside your jawbone, a bit like a hip replacement. It's not like going to the dentist and having a filling done. It's a bit more than that. However, it's incredibly predictable. It's one of the most predictable sciences in medicine. In my view, it's probably the most predictable thing in dentistry that I've ever done because I can predict things. And this takes predictability to a whole other level.
Yeah.
And speaking about predictability, can we do something, fellas? I thought today we might do the segment on guides and how we make them, and then the next one we could talk about veneer manufacturing, and then the next one we could talk about metal. What do you think of that? Is that okay, fellas? Yeah? So, Seth,
Yep.
are you running the tape for
I will do it right now.
the first bit? Great, thank you very much. So, this bit is about guide production and why we're nerds about guide production. I'm in Bioengineering today. This is just one of the buildings that we've got. This is where we have what we call the soft materials in. The soft materials mainly being the 3D printed surgical guides, the asymmetric anatomic guides that we use for all of you, and the polymer part of our long-term prosthetics. We'll look at titanium in a minute, but let's look at this. So this is a 3D printer. So not all 3D printers are created equal, so I can buy stuff on Amazon for £1,000, or this one, which is about £100,000. The main difference is accuracy. So this is the level of accuracy that we actually want. Without the accuracy, so we can have a perfectly good design, we can do perfectly good planning, but without the accuracy of the physical product being to the standard that we expect with all the offsets that we want in it, then we're not going to be able to have a guide that fits the individual's mouth so good that we can just get things done this quick. This is a really, really, really important consideration. So part of what we do is we're always on the lookout for the next generation of 3D printer, the thing that takes the accuracy up again. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is insanely accurate already, and we've got 4 of them, as you can see. But the future is looking even more dynamic accuracy. That's what I see. So companies like Stratasys won't stop, they'll just keep going. Buying the printer is one thing, but what really powers the printer is all the AI planning and design behind it, together with human beings who know what they're looking at, looking over it, making sure everything's just spot on. Once we have all of that, then we put it into one of these things, and these things can just print 40 or 50 guides at a time, which is fantastic. And we've got 4 because that's the kind of volume we go through. So from my point of view, I'd prefer that people use guides than not use guides, purely from the safety and efficiency point of view. But if you're going to go to our level, which is to be able to deliver the prosthetics immediately after surgery, then that accuracy of guide is mandatory. Great, and we're back. I hope that gave you some insight into our 3D printer world. So 3D printers, there are so many of them. I can buy one on Amazon now for like 500 quid. Mm-hmm. But for the accuracy that we need, there are many different kinds of 3D printing, but for the accuracy we need, and everything is 3-dimensional, so we need accuracy in all 3 of the dimensions, X, Y, and Z. We tested a whole load of machines. Now, I know that unless these manufacturers come out with a better one, I'll get the next best one when the next one comes out, because the average life cycle of technology in this company, 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's like my phone. Mm-hmm. They get obsolete that quick now. Technology is literally, you know Murphy's Law, don't you?
Yeah.
Every time that processing power doubles, I don't know how they do it, mm-hmm. but they just seem to produce like at lightning speed, like within 6 months of processing power doubling. I've got all these new things that are adding layers and layers and layers of improvement. The 90% bit, getting to the 90% bit it's hard work. Yeah. 90 to 99%, that's very hard work. And then my insanity lives in the 99 to 100%, knowing I can never reach 100% because I'm dealing with something that's very broken. Mm-hmm. So putting it back together to when it was 21, no. But it doesn't stop me chasing though, so we just keep going after it, and every little improvement. So the last generation of printers that we had was only out by 30 microns compared to what I've got now. That was bugging me. It was annoying me. It was keeping me awake at night going, 30 microns, 30 microns. Think of what I could do with 30 microns. This is what happens when you have a company with a guy like me in it. Mm-hmm. I said, if you all know what's good for you, you should kill me, and then your lives get a lot easier. Right? But anyway, I digress. So you've got a little bit of an insight. We'll run more series about what we do inside bioengineering. Next time we're going to talk about veneer manufacturing and with milling machines. Anyway, so I thought we would cut to some questions, Gordon.
Yep, come in.
So over to you.
A question about guides.
Yes.
Is there a way to improve on the guides that doesn't require the scraping of the roof of the mouth?
No. Not yet. We have to stabilize something, you have to use as much surface area as you can. So in the top jaw, the most stable part is actually your palate. It's the one area that's not been messed about with and generally isn't affected by periodontal disease. So when you take a tooth out, for example, generally they take them out this way, which means the outer plate gets broken. Nobody has their teeth taken out that way to the inside of the mouth, which means the palatal side is almost always intact. Plus, it's solid. It's much thicker than the plate on the outside, which means it's much more stable. Everything is a balance for us. I want as much stability as possible, but equally, I don't want too much interference with the tissues. So there's going to be some scraping, but nowhere near as much as it was, let's say, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we had to, because the technology couldn't give us something more stable in a smaller surface area, we used to open really big. Now, it's a lot less than it was. But remember, for the people who are having it done today, they have no context of what I did 3 years ago. They have no context of what I was doing 10 years ago. What I was doing 20 years ago, oh my God, because we could only have direct visualization and we couldn't see it like this. I had to actually dissect a human being and go, oh, what's that? Oh, that's a blood vessel, right? Let's stay away from that. So it's that progress in surgery. We are exactly the same as every other field in surgery, as minimally effective, minimally invasive, but we have to be effective. Otherwise, there's no point. So we can be really minimally invasive and very inaccurate. No.
Yeah.
Because we're just doing it the once. Let's try and get it bang on. So I'd love to be able to say yes. I think there is breakthroughs coming in the future. I think, you know this, right? So in 3D printing, we're very good at milling things that are solid. But I've seen 3D prints which are like lattice, it's not a solid body.
Yeah, it's hollow.
But it is stiff. So it's more stability. I'm not doing a good job explaining this, but it's like
it's a lattice, right?
Like lattice, like a mesh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's better at using as much of the surface area as possible of the tiniest surfaces.
Yeah.
So maybe we can be less invasive when that technology not only arrives, but is also mature enough to use.
Yeah.
So maybe is the answer, but right now, this is as good as we got.
Thank you. Another one, this is about AI. With this development in AI, would local clinics be able to perform the surgical reset in the future?
Good question. Whoever asked that question, great question. Well,
anyway, that's a question from Josie.
Josie. Great question, Josie. I know something. Okay, I know that there's millions of people everywhere, not just in this country, but all over the world, that need it. Like the person in Texas who we managed to solve their problem from here in 5 minutes. Giving them the plan is one thing. The second thing is the training of the operator to be able to do it correctly. So the simple analogy I'm going to use is somebody who's never put IKEA furniture together versus somebody's whose job it is to put IKEA furniture together. I know which one's going to make a pig's ear of it. Now, the worst thing that's going to happen with IKEA furniture is you're going to sit on that chair, it's going to break, and you're going to fall on your ass. You can't afford to do that in surgery. So I'm going to say it's going to enable more clinicians to do it, but they have to be the right kind of clinicians. They have to be certified by us. They have to go through our training pathway. They have to prove to the senior clinical mentors here that they understand the principles of using this correctly. Because it isn't just throw it across the room and it just magically does the job. There is still the surgical element. This guide will keep you incredibly safe inside that surgical environment, but you've still got to know things like don't take your teeth out like a Kakadu buffoon, because I see a lot of that happening. You know, it's just still got to be able to give enough anesthesia. That'd be another good one.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but not everyone can do that. So more will do it, but as for everybody, doubt it.
Yep. Thank you. I have autoimmune disease, and I know there's a connection with this and gum disease. Would my implants be more at risk of failure with autoimmune disease?
Good question. It depends on the autoimmune disease, because basically your body is fighting itself already. When your body is fighting itself already, and then we ask your body to go through a process of healing, if it's busy fighting itself, then healing becomes more unpredictable. It's not a no, but we just need a lot more information about what that autoimmune disease is exactly, because there's lots of them. So with some of them, it's a outright no. With some of them, it's a maybe, and we need to liaise with your medical professionals to find out the level of autoimmune disease it is. You know, so it's a very valid question, and it's one of those things that is a complex subject. And I'm glad you brought it up, because people need to understand that for our stuff to work, the rest of the body has to be okay. The rest of the body has to have the systems in place to heal properly post our surgery. And it would be no different if you were having a hip replacement. The orthopedic surgeons would ask exactly the same questions that I'd ask. So there's no difference.
Yeah, thank you. One question about, I know this subject we discussed so many times in the group, and there are so many posts about it, and we know what the 21D stance on this subject is, zirconia versus PMMA. But this is just a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
I know that PMMA has a shock absorber metal plate, but what is the structure of zirconia, please? It's a bit confusing.
Zirconia structure is crystal. It's a crystalline structure. So polymers are just long polymer chains. Zirconia is an intermeshing of very hard crystals. Now it is hard, but it's also brittle. And I think people think I've got some personal vendetta against zirconia. I have not. I really like the use of zirconia for single crowns, up to 3-unit bridges. I think they're excellent. It's when they become full arches that I have a real problem. Because for that size and that height and that width, making sure it bakes properly. Now there's only one way to check, because it has to be baked in an oven after you cut the shape in a milling machine. And that's to cut it in half to check whether it's, but then it's ruined again.
Yeah.
The second thing is, across the implants have no shock absorber. Zirconia has no shock absorber. The crystalline structure does not absorb shock. So it just transmits it immediately from the shock of the chewing when they hit together all the way up, straight into the implants. And from the implants, it goes straight into the bone. Bone is a sensitive living tissue that doesn't like too much shock. Now, I know there's so many people everywhere using zirconia. Yeah, doesn't mean that they're 100% right. just because lots of people are doing it. And I go off the clinical evidence of what I've seen, but also off what the major institutes say. The major institutes in my field also say that titanium polymer, titanium PMMA, should be the first choice because of the shock absorptive properties of PMMA, but also combined with the strength and rigidity of titanium. So you're actually getting the best of both worlds. It's not just PMMA and zirconia, it's titanium PMMA and zirconia. This is a really important distinction. My problem with the crystalline structure, think of a glass. A glass, if it's hit too hard, shatters. Okay? Whereas a plastic spoon will bend a lot before it breaks. You know, I want that advantage for my patients because I would rather the polymer breaks long before any damage to implants or bone. I just changed the polymer. That's not a drama. It's an inconvenience at best. And I've seen this, okay? I'm talking purely from my own experience. I have done zirconia myself. I've seen it when it breaks, and anybody who tells you it doesn't break, either they haven't done enough or they're talking shit, right? When it breaks, I've seen them break the implants in the bone. That is terrible. I've seen them break the connecting screws off inside the implant, so now the implant's no longer usable. These all require surgical revision. You break PMMA, here's a new one, bye. No drama.
Done. Thank you. Has AI technology been tested or validated with real patient results?
Which one?
AI technology?
AI technology. So none of the AI that we use goes straight into the patient's mouth. So we have our planning division, which are all clinicians, all of them. So the AI will make a suggestion, okay? What this does is it allows these guys to focus on the macro details. So the AI doesn't put it over there and we need it over here. It'll sort of get it over there, right? And every single one has to be clinician signed off. Now, even me, even us, we work on this. I don't think I'm anywhere near the day where I just go, here you go. There's a massive difference between visualization that you see on the screen and what actually ends up in the mouth. There will still be a human being, as we do today. The difference is, for the human being to get to this point, it's like 20 hours and 6 human beings.
Yeah.
They get to this point in 5 minutes, which makes them much more efficient, and then they can focus on the real detail. The real detail is the bit that makes a difference between something lasting, in my view, 20 years and 200 years. So where do I want the human to be? The finest granular detail or the macro, get them in between the two mental nerves? That bit, if AI can do that in 5 minutes, and then it moves to my planners, and my planners are sat there going, okay, I think I'll just move this one a little bit. That's what happens now. The difference is, for them to run, can a human being run the millions of calculations in alignment? Have you ever seen it?
No.
Right. For me, it's about giving them the most aligned data and the best prediction that the AI can give it, and then they take over from there. So it's never just, here you go, here's AI. Even with the radiology piece today that I said earlier, where radiological reports are produced, they still have to be looked over. But the difference is, the radiologist can look at thousands now in a day and go, yep, no, whatever, tweak, whatever. That's how it is,
Can go through many people.
Yes.
If your bones were so bad that your own teeth dropped out, what's going to hold your implants?
Good question. Let's talk about bones being so bad. So, degeneration of bones. A person who has osteoporosis, for example, which is a degenerative bone condition, doesn't necessarily lose their teeth. If you're losing your teeth, it's because of periodontal disease, which is a disease that causes the bone to move away from infected tooth surface. It isn't automatic that because you lost your teeth, the bone is shit. When we take our CT scans, you guys measure Hounsfield units, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many of you actually seen that are so bad
Mm-hmm.
that we can't even work on them?
I don't think I've seen them.
You haven't seen
Yeah, I
one,
think
right,
I've seen
okay.
them, yeah.
I think the bigger concern for me is a patient who has osteoporosis that's undiagnosed. So this is a bone condition. This has nothing to do with the teeth. But funnily enough, the people with osteoporosis, the teeth around the bone around the teeth themselves, fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything below it is just hollow, like empty, like air. But it's the reason that the person lost the teeth is not because the bones were bad. It's because they had periodontal disease, which is a disease that affects the bone but isn't a disease of the bone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
We can answer what your bone quality is when we do the CT scan. That's why we have the full clinical assessment. That's
Yes.
why we need the cone beam CT scan.
Yeah. The next question is every tooth a separate implant or 4 screws to hold implants? Can you just also explain why having like multiple implants on each is no good idea as well?
Okay. An implant is not a tooth or a tooth root. 2 completely different things. Remember, your teeth grew as modified cells inside your jawbone into full teeth. They grew from the bone out, and they came with a blood supply and a nerve supply, all kinds built in with different layers, enamel, dentine, cementum, periodontal ligaments, all that kind of stuff. An implant, on the other hand, is a screw. Okay? If you put a screw for every single tooth, then you end up with a lot of dead titanium and low living jawbone left. The magic of implant therapy is the thing that does the work is not the implant, it's the jawbone. So if you drill it all away and put titanium in there, what's holding them? So I've seen, I think I posted on the group where I saw this like a few months ago. I posted, there's a post where somebody has put 16 implants per jaw, 32 screws.
Wow.
Okay. Miraculously, the patient is having huge problems because there's no jawbone left. It's now all just dead titanium. It isn't the implant that grabs the bone. No, it's the jawbone that knits to the surface of the implant. But if you've got no jawbone left because you've gone around drilling holes and put all screws, how are they? It's a bit like me putting 1,000 nails in that wall. Where's the wall? It's gone. Same principle. So never ever. When you're doing single implants, on the other hand, almost always for a single tooth, you will use 1 implant. But if you had 2 teeth missing, you've got 2 choices. Depending on how you set up the mechanics, you can put 1 implant and attach 2 teeth, or you can put 2 implants in, provided there's enough space between the 2 for bone. If you put them too close together and there's no bone in between, these 2 are both going to fall out. If you need 3 teeth replacing, pretty much everyone in the world will only put 2 implants. The 2 at the backmost areas, and this one will be attached to these 2. And then it's 4, 5, and 6. But we know that 4, and actually even 3 in certain instances, as some of the patients watching this know, because they have 3. And it's not the number of implants, it's the quality of the bone, the spread of the implants, what those implants are anchored into. So are they anchored into cortical plates to begin with, and then plated with a metal bar as soon as possible? So there's many variables. We've got loads of cases where there was no solution without extensive bone grafting or zygomatics, unless we use 3. They're all fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, no is the short answer. Not one implant for one tooth, ever.
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 Yep.
I think they might have been confused because of the image. Maybe they thought each one of those came from my tooth.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 are the implants. And that's holding 12 teeth and
Yeah.
12 teeth. 12 tooth prosthetic.
Right.
More than enough.
This is the last question that
Great.
I have. And it says, how does the AI learn how to plan surgeries?
How does the AI learn to plan surgery? So it helps that I sit with Woo and his team and go, here are the rules of surgery. Here are the surgical parameters. Here are the prosthetic parameters. Is it becoming me, Woo?
Yes, it's a VJ number 2, basically. VJ version 2, yeah.
It's my route to immortality, this. You understand? I just teach the AI. That's what's going on here, okay? So it's the rules that I've learned over the years, and they are not just my rules, they are the rules, okay? It's the rules that we know give us consistent results. So we start by feeding it that. Then we feed it data and say, it either follows the rules or it doesn't follow the rules. It's incredibly binary.
Yeah.
What it doesn't do ever, which I love about AI, it doesn't go, let's try this. It just never does that.
Yeah.
What it does is it goes, okay, it doesn't follow these rules. Why don't we ask Vijay what he thinks? Which is like 1 in like 5,000 now,
Yeah.
right? Which for me is great because it means that every patient is being treatment planned by exactly the same set of clinical rules. It's not one person has this opinion, I come from an age, we were trained at university to have opinions based on our education. Measurements, you wouldn't build a house on an opinion. You would build a house on measurements.
Yeah.
You would build a house on load mechanics and forces and things like that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a large part of it is the clinical rules that have been put in, not just by me, but also other senior clinical members who really know their stuff, who've done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of cases. And then, funnily enough, it's even a question of feeding it good data and bad data so it knows the difference.
Yeah.
All right, this is what rubbish looks like. Okay, we're not doing that. That's key to this. And as we keep doing more and more and more cases, this thing's actually getting smarter and smarter and smarter, which is the great thing about AI. It's not going to replace us. In my view, it's just going to enhance us, but also for the patient, it's another layer of safety, another layer of, just get guesswork out.
Yep.
I hate guesswork.
Or opinion. Yep.
Or opinion, that one.
Yep.
I hate that.
Quickly, I have these 2 questions just quick. Have you done surgery on someone who suffers with MS?
Yes, but again, we need the full picture. How severe is the MS? What stage of the MS? How early in the process?
Yeah, we need more details.
We need a lot more detail.
Okay.
So any medical management issues that we have from the GP would be incredibly, or whoever is managing this would be incredibly useful. What are the drugs? All that stuff we need to know.
And the last one. Would I need to stop weight loss jabs before surgery?
I like them and I don't like them. I like them because they stop people becoming diabetics. I don't like them because they're messing up everything else. I'd like you to not do it during... I'd like you to stop 2 weeks before surgery, and I'd like you to start it after I sign you off. That would be ideal. Okay? Because physiologically, it's effectively teaching you to starve yourself. Guess what I want happening? I want tubs of ice cream,
Yeah, and calories.
right? And calories. I want all the things that thing's there to stop you from doing.
Yeah.
So we're like yin and yang. We're just opposed to each other. I get it. I understand, but can you wait until we finished? That'd be good. For all. We don't want any problems in your process. So another 4 weeks. maybe another 6 weeks would be nice. I'm asking nicely. That would be useful. And then don't lie to us because I've said this. Tell us, though, if you're taking that stuff, okay? That would be nice because I don't want anyone to have any grief. Honestly, I don't. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much for joining us, and tune in again, folks. Thank you.